Hi everybody, this is Jerrie from Missing Persons of America. I'm going to go over the case of Rachel Cooke. She has been missing since 2002 from Georgetown, Texas. And I have found some information that no one's heard before about this case. And not only that, I decided to go to the location. That is my goal, to try to go to as many of these locations that I can that are in my area, so I can drive and show you what it looked like and where they were the last time they were seen before they went missing. So that's coming up in just a sec. Hi everyone, this is Jerrie from Missing Persons of America. I wanted to tell you about the Rachel Cooke case. As I've mentioned before, I've been trying to go to different locations that are near me, and that's one of the reasons I got that Patreon account, so people can donate to it. And the idea is I go to the location and I drive around the location and I show everybody where the person was before they went missing. I started doing this a couple years ago with the Missing Texas 40, and I like the idea of it and the fact that you can actually see where someone was. And so right now I'm starting around the areas that I went up to Fort Worth to the three missing trio. And I went over there and I showed you what the shopping mall looked like. And it also lets me get a better understanding of how and why somebody went missing. It usually answers a lot of questions. And I had the opportunity to do this with the Rachel Cooke case. She went missing from Georgetown, Texas. So Rachel Cooke was 19. She had been going to San Diego Mesa College. And I'm very familiar with San Diego Mesa College because that was the first college that I went to. And I remember it really well. I remember there was like one road that went into there, and it was like a dead end, and it wasn't too far from, was it Kearny Mesa High School or Claremont High School? It was right around in that area. And I could just kind of see her in my mind go to that campus. It was a community college, and that's where a lot of people went for the first couple of years. And then maybe after that, you would transfer over to a state college like San Diego State College. And then she left for Christmas vacation, and she went to her parents' house, back to where she grew up in Georgetown, Texas. And she went jogging. Now, she did cross-country jogging. I wasn't real clear about this in the beginning, but now I'm very clear that she was a cross-country runner. So that means not only was she running just in the street or on paved ground, she was running over rocks and cross-country, going out there and jumping over and running in dirt and grass and things like that. So to get the timeline, it was she was asleep on the couch at 8 o'clock in the morning, and her mother said goodbye to her and left for the day. The father had left. He worked for IBM at that time. He went on to work, and it was just Rachel there. And I believe she put out a text message around 9 o'clock or so and let everybody know she was going for a jog, and she left at 9:30. So me and Mark we drove over there, and we went up where the house was. They don't live there any longer, but we went up and down that street. We found some really interesting things there too. I'll tell you about in a minute, but let me go down over the beginning of this. She was going for a 4-mile run, and she was seen walking towards her home on 224 Neches Trail near Navajo Trail, which is where we were. She was also seen on Navajo Trail. And that was around 11 a.m. And she was wearing her gray running outfit, her green sports bra, her Asics running shoes, and a yellow Walkman with earphones. Another person saw her between 11 and 11:30 a.m. near the 200 block of Neches Trail. All right. Now, a witness told them that it was an unidentified male in his late teens or early 20s that was seen driving in the area. I don't see anything about what kind of car that person had. But he was seen talking to a female jogger at the time. Now, it's not specific whether that female jogger was actually Rachel or not, but we're going to kind of assume that probably it was. and he was in a white or blue Chevrolet Camaro or Pontiac Trans Am with stripes. Authorities also are asking for information on a white pickup seen in the area. Now, later on, I have heard that Rachel's mother, Janet, was the one that called in on the white Trans Am. She said that she had seen many cars in that area that seemed suspicious to her, so she was calling the police and reporting them. Now, whether she gave them the license plate, I'm not clear. She said at one point she found out that one of the cars was just a group of teens that were smoking pot, and that's about all that I know about on that subject. So Rachel's father, back in 2003, said he had 5 suspects in mind, and law enforcement has some ideas on suspects, but none have been identified to me. Let me read this to you. Quote, "As far as I'm concerned, they have not eliminated anyone. It could be someone I don't even know about, like a construction worker who saw Rachel running. I'm not eliminating serial killer, but it's unlikely. If I were running the case, I would research each possible suspect until I eliminated them and then move on to someone else. They haven't done that." So back in 2017, there was more attention brought to the case. And the sheriff got a whole team together, and they were doing the investigating. And a former deputy, John Forrest, came forward in September 2017, and he was criticizing Sheriff Maspero, saying he wasn't doing a very good job about the case, and he was slow to search for Rachel. He also stated that Maspero did not let him question the Cooke family about Rachel's disappearance, etc. That was from the KXAN, reported on that. So things were quiet for many years. And then around 2018, so this is about a year after the new sheriff was elected, the sheriff's department recovered a white Trans Am from Dallas. They said a tip led them to this car, and it was big news because the Trans Am was talked about early on in the case. And for many people in social media, and even myself, was kind of believing that that probably was connected to the case. So we thought there would be something that would come about it, more information. But here we are in 2020, beginning of 2020, and there's been no more information other than there was a media report that they had found what's possibly blood in the car. But they have to test all this stuff. They had to go through the whole car. Now, I believe it was probably a huge job to do, getting the forensics to go over this whole car. And from what I gather, it was a shell of the car. It wasn't the whole car. I don't even think it had tires on it. And it was seen being taken into the police yard so they could do the check on the car and go over it for evidence. But other than there possibly being blood in there, that's it. Now, they haven't found out if the blood belonged to anybody, if it belonged to Rachel, nothing. And so I decided to do the research on this case and tell everybody about it. And as I said earlier, me and Mark, we went over there to drive up and down. And what we found was that this area, this neighborhood, the houses were spread apart from each other. And each of them had about 1 acre to 3 acres each house. And there was a lot of trees in the front yard. And you can't really see into the house. And in Rachel's house, there was a huge brick wall in the front of the house. So you would have to go past that gate in order to see the front of the house. Because, like I said, the brick wall was there and all the trees were there. Now, as we drove there, we had to kind of just make a guess which route she went. And we decided to go straight down because there was not much traffic on those in that division, that subdivision. As we went straight down, we ran right into a dead end. So we came back and we went up down the other way. And that turned out to be a dead end also. You can't get out that way. Going on her house on Navajo, all the way to one side or all the way to the other side, they're both dead ends. There was nothing there. And she couldn't jog into that dead end. Even though a car couldn't pass, I was still considering maybe a person could. But at each dead end, there were houses at the end. So you would be going onto somebody's property. One actually had a fence, so you couldn't even get in there anyway. And the other was more open, but you could tell it was somebody's property. You wouldn't be jogging in there. So the only way she could have gone is up that Netchie's. And there was another road there too. I think it was called Council that went there. I'll have it when the pictures come up. You'll see the maps and you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. And if you want to look at it more closely, just stop the video and you can look at it. It's over there. And another dead end. Oh, it's like a freaking park back there, isn't it? And we don't think she would have gone there, but even though there's no gate there, it'd be too rough to jog on. Well, I'm glad it came out here because I was under the.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I was under the impression she ran down that Netchie's trail for about 2 miles and turned around and came back. No. And if you go right up Netchie's, and you're right up on this North Lake Road. It's also, I think, Farm Market Road and North Lake Road. And it's busy. It's really busy. So once we got to that point, and what we were looking for, I forgot to mention this earlier, we knew she went for a 4-mile run. So we figured she would have gone 2 miles up and 2 miles back. So there is no area there that's 2 miles. She could be running around right in that subdivision. There wasn't enough area unless she just circled and circled and circled. But I don't believe that's what she did. I think she went out. Now I'll tell you why I think this also in a few minutes. After about a quarter of a mile, it's right there. It says no outlet. So there's something there that's keeping anybody from going down those roads. I'd have to look at a Google map to see what's there. That no one lives down those streets, or there's no outlet there. All right, we're almost there. We're there, yep. Oh, there's no outlet on that one too. So we went up to that North Lake, and our first guess, let's go right. So we went right, counting, just look for the 2 miles, and you'll see the video where we did this. And before we got to the 2 miles, we ran into these really dips, up and down these dips. And I don't believe any way that she would have ran and gone where these hills were. I didn't think that's what she would have done. I think she just would have gone straight. We also noticed that you can't really run alongside the road. There's not enough room. You would have got hit by a car if you ran alongside this road. So we're thinking she must have gone farther in. And first of that, there's no way she would have gone in where the dirt was. But now that I know she was cross-country runner, that's probably where she did run. And then also you have to keep in mind, this is 2002, so it wouldn't have been quite as busy then, if busy at all, during that period of time. They were just building those houses there. And that's why there was construction workers in that area. So we came back and we decided this time when we came off of Netchie's trail, we were going to go left instead of right. And as we went left, we went 2 miles, and that took us to right about where there is a senior center there, a private senior center facility, retirement home. And that right there is about 2 miles. So you go there and you turn around and come back. It was curious to us that why she would have came back up Netchie's, and because there was another road before that she could have taken that would have taken her home and got her off that busy road. But I don't know. I don't have the reasoning behind that. Maybe she went up that road and on the return she went down the other one to get the exact 2 miles. I cannot say, but I just wanted to point out I noticed that. So it was kind of not making a lot of sense to us, this whole direction she went. We're not sure about it, but I decided to come back and do more research because I wasn't settled with this. route that we had found. And I didn't want to give you a lot of guesses, but not too many people. I reached out to a lot of people. Nobody really knows what route she took except for her family. Then I found out that her mother stated that she had a conversation with Rachel, and Rachel said she was thinking about running to the lake. And her mother's response was, well, why don't you run to the lake? So that gave me a clue that she probably did go left, not right, on that Netchie's Trail, on that lake, North Lake Road. So that would have been the second route that we took that goes down to that retirement. If she was going to continue past that route, she would eventually made another turn and gotten to the lake. And you'll see the map that I have there. Now, Google Maps showed me a route with a car going all the way around to the bottom of the lake. But I also discovered there's another road there that you could run on that would take you towards the top of the lake. Now, it would have taken about an hour and a half for her to get there and back. So she could have run from down to the lake and back, but it would have taken her a great deal of time. It was quite a long, and it was almost twice as far as what she normally runs. So did she go down there that day to the lake like she had talked to her mom about? I don't think so. I don't think she did. Because when I went back and I looked at going to the retirement home and back, the timing comes out perfectly. It shows her going down there and coming back, and you compute the time. It comes out to be about, I'm trying to think what I wrote down there. I believe it was an hour and a half. Let me double check my notes. Yes, we're taking her down to Woodcrest, where it's called the Triffin House Assisted Living and Memory. So with that route, we are looking at, it would take her about 30 minutes down to Woodcrest for her to run, and 45 minutes if she walked. Up and back would have taken anywhere from an hour to an hour and 30 minutes, depending if she walked some of the route or ran the whole way. So Rachel left at 9:30 and was seen on Netchie's Trail at 11, an hour and 30 minutes later. So that works. That seems to be the route that she took. All right. Now, as I was inquiring about the route that she took, I ran across a journalist who was going by the initials AP. And I asked her if she happened to know, because she lived in that area. She lived in that neighborhood. And I asked her if she happened to know the route, if she'd heard, because we're back in 2002 where Rachel had run. And she told me a very interesting story about how she had seen that someone had been looking at her just a week or so earlier over by her house. So I'm going to read part of this to you, and it's in her own words. To whom it may concern. And she's talking about how she had contacted the police after it happened to her. And then she also went back and called the police after Rachel went missing to tell them, hey, remember what happened to me? So they could find out, look and see if it was connected. But then she said she saw the new drawings that just came out. I think it was about sometime last week. And you'll see those drawings here. And in those drawings, she said she recognized the person. And that was the person that was looking and watching her as she was walking her dog that day. So here was what she says. I lived in the next neighborhood over from Rachel's. So that was behind Rachel's home. I looked at it on the map. It was behind Rachel's home. A few days before she disappeared, I was on my street walking my 3 German Shepherds. And in spite of my large dogs barking and lunging at a white car, the car slowed down and 3 Hispanic men stared at me very aggressively. They even turned around at the front of my gated driveway and came back by staring hard at me and driving very slowly. So I got a good look at them. The driver looked like a suspect with a cap, although I do not recall a cap at that time. One of the others looked like the second sketch. I recall them having blue handkerchiefs either over their face or tied around their necks. They only stopped following me when I walked behind a neighbor's house and knocked on the door. All right. This happened a week or so before Rachel disappeared. I called my husband when I got home and shared this with him. I thought it was very aggressive of them to be staring at me so hard when my dogs could have attacked them, and my dogs made that very clear. So you would note that when AP talked about a white car, now this is the thing. The car she talks about is not a white Trans Am. It is a white VW Fox. And she says she knew that it was a Fox because her friend had a car like it. So here we have an entirely different car that's never been mentioned before that needs to be checked out. And with that information, we may find out that this whole, with the Trans Am, they may not find anything in the Trans Am because that may not have been the car. It might have been that Fox, that VW Fox. Or that might have been one of their cars, but they also did drive a Trans Am. We don't know that at this point. So the other interesting thing that I learned was AP tweeted this information on Twitter. And when she did, she got a response from a gentleman who said that he knew who the person was, one of the suspects. And she inquired, well, was it somebody in construction? And he said, yes. So now we have more information about this case, leading to, as you recall, when we were talking, when Rachel's father was talking earlier, he was mentioning about construction workers in that area. They were building houses in that area. This was a brand new development in 2002. And we have AP talking about somebody in a strange car she'd never seen before and with 3 men in there. And we have this other gentleman mentioning that he knows who the person is. So does that mean the police know who this person is too? And they just are trying to get evidence together so they can go back and have enough to get a warrant to find this person and arrest them? I don't know, but it's a very, very good possibility. We may find that in the future, when they do come back with that information from the Trans Am, it's either going to lead back. Well, it definitely is going to lead back to somebody. They seem to be very positive that this Trans Am was the car that Rachel was in. Now, was the 3 gentlemen that were involved in the incident with AP in the VW Fox, were they the same ones that were in the Trans Am? I don't know. We won't know until another step, another closer to this case, and more information is brought out about it. So that is what I wanted to share with you, the route, so you can take a look at it, and also this new information that I got from AP, who's a journalist. And I did reach out to the gentleman that was on Twitter that responded back to AP, and I haven't heard back from him yet. If I do, I will update this before I post it, or I will let you guys know in the comment section. And I think let me also, if you mention that if you do have any information, if you're listening to me talking here and it jogs your memory, you might look at the video and something jogs your memory of what's going on with this case, you can contact the FBI or the Williamson County Sheriff's Department. But I'm hoping that this goes out to everybody. I'm hoping that maybe the police will see this and hear this information and possibly consider that there may be another car out there they should be looking for. And they'll reach out to AP and get a hold of her, and they'll reach out to the person who responded to AP on Twitter and maybe get more information there. And we could narrow down to who this might be. So that is about it. I think I've covered out. There is a lot of information that I wanted to get to you guys. I think I've covered it all. If you've got any questions, give me a holler. Don't forget to go to Missing Persons of America's website, and you'll see it all written down there, what I just told you, and more details about the case and photos and things like that that you can look at. And you can also leave a comment there and I'll respond, or you can leave a comment here on YouTube and I will respond with any questions. And that's it. I'll see you guys soon with more cases. Bye.